Hello, welcome to this DCS FA-18C normal carrier operation tutorial. In this video, we will cover normal carrier taxi, takeoff, and landing. The first thing you will notice about carrier operations is you have wheel chocks on your plane and your wings are folded. So the first thing we need to do is contact the ground crew by opening our radio menu, selecting ground crew, wheel chocks, and politely ask them to remove them.
The wheel chocks. Copy. Wheel chocks are now removed.
They will kindly remove our wheel chocks, and now we are good to move over to the catapult. We will turn on nose wheel steering and make our way over. One thing to note for carrier operations, we want our anti-skid switch in the off position. For land-based operations, we want it in the on position. We're going to line up to the best of our ability, centered on the catapult. And as an assist, we want to line up with this little white catapult sled. So we want that about where that hook is on our front wheel. That little straight line you see coming off of it. To assist in this, I'll make sure I'm straightened out. And I'll just go ahead and watch myself in F2 view. And I'll slowly creep forward. A little bit more. All right, we're lined up, so I'll get back in my cockpit. And you will press the U key. You can remember that. Hook up, up is U. In order to hook up, we need to extend our launch bar. So we will extend and then press U. You see we have now snapped onto the catapult. And the rear gate has raised. At this point, you can go ahead and spread your wings by utilizing this lever here, or a keybind if you have it bound. We will right click to the spread position, mouse wheel forward to lock it. And we will see our wings are now coming down. Verify our wings are all the way down. Our anti-skid is off. Our gear, our flaps, wings, all looking good. When we take off on the carrier, we will not give any stick inputs until we have cleared the carrier deck. And in order to take off, we will throttle up to full burner. All right, we're clear. Take control, gear up, flaps up. Gear is completely up. Let's go ahead and fly out a little bit. So to navigate our way back to the carrier, we'll utilize the TACAN and Instrument Landing Systems, ILS. So let's throw on autopilots and find out what our TACAN and ILS information is. This information will generally be found in your briefing, so let's go ahead and open that. Scroll down, and we see the Stennis that we just took off from is TACAN 7.4, ILS 11. TACAN, clear, 7.4, enter, ILS, clear, 11, enter. And now we can see our TACAN for the Stennis here. And just like in our navigation, we can box TACAN to select it as our desired point. And now that we have a naval ILS, we can box ILS as well. I'm going to go ahead and radio to the carrier that I'm inbound. So I will open my communication menu, A-18C, the aircraft carrier we want to go to, the Stennis, and request inbound. We're going to pay attention to one specific number they give us, and that is the BRC. So here we see the BRC is 296. We'll input that as our course line. So now we know to line up relatively close to the carrier deck. We need to fly along this line, and when we get close enough, we will begin to use our instrument landing system to land the aircraft. Going to fly out a little bit and then come in on an approach. As you're learning, there is no harm in going out about 10 miles and then flying in just as if you were learning a ground-based landing. At this point, if we have too much fuel, we can dump it utilizing this switch here, and we'll lighten our aircraft. I'll go ahead and turn the dump off, and you'll see our plane is actually refilling its internal reservoir with our center fuel tank. I'm going to go ahead and arm my plane and jettison that fuel tank. So I can see the Stennis is off to this position. Looks about right. Somewhere out there. Maybe that's it. Continue to fly out a little bit, and then I'll turn in along this line when I'm about 10 or so miles away. Let's turn into that line. Going to reduce the scale a little bit. So when we have our instrument landing system enabled, we will see two lines, a vertical and a horizontal. I'll point out the horizontal when it appears, but our goal is to have where the vertical and horizontal intersect perfectly lined up in the center of our velocity vector here. That will allow us to come in for a good landing and catch a wire every time as long as we are on the horizontal line. The vertical line signifies if we are lined up left or right from the center of the runway on the carrier. Alright, going to turn into the carrier. I'm about 15 miles away. Using that line to line us up. So we can see we're a bit to the right, but the carrier is about 11 miles away, shown up here. Going to start reducing speed. Now that we're within 10 miles, I will radio the carrier and say, see you at 10.
103. See you at 10.
Radioing the carrier will allow us to know if the deck is busy, if we're clear to land.
103.
That way we'll have a better idea instead of just coming straight in and running into a friendly unit on the aircraft carrier, causing them a little bit of a headache. There's the horizontal line. So we want to get our velocity vector in the center right here, the center of this cross in the center of our velocity vector. So I know I need to come right and then drop my altitude. It is always good to fall into the line rather than chasing it up. I will have a link to an actual real-life F-18 landing on a carrier utilizing the ILS system in the description of this video. I'm going to drop my gear in flex. And the same rules apply here as they do for a ground-based landing. Between 135 and 160, and you'll be alright. We want to keep ourselves on that horizontal line. That's the important one. The vertical tells you if you're lined up left or right, and not as important as you're learning. Just make sure you're relatively close to it. We'll have the flows appear on the left. That tells us what our aircraft is doing. The ILS tells us what we should be doing. So we want to keep perfectly centered on there. We're going to verify as a final check. Our hook is down, any skid is off, gear and flaps look good. Flying to the best of our ability to stay on that horizontal line. And if you can, stay perfectly lined up on the vertical line. I'm a little bit left here, so that's alright as long as we're on the horizontal line. That means we will hit the wire. Just trust your instruments and stay on it the entire time. A good idea when you're coming down for a landing is to throttle up to full mil power, so if you miss you can take back off. I didn't hear because I was confident that I was going to hit the wire because I trusted my instruments. At this point we're down. I can go hook up, flaps to half, turn on nose wheel steering high, and move off to the side. Now that I'm out of the way, I can radio to any friendlies in the area that the deck is clear and they're clear to come in for their landing. Now that I'm off in parking, I can refuel, rearm, and get back in the air. That covers standard aircraft carrier operations. Thanks for watching.